Hey everyone, welcome out to episode 146 of a Nerd Named Mark podcast. Now, for those of you who are watching, like, what up on the 145? I was feeling better, had to go back to work, and so instead, I decided to take my review of Power Rangers Once and Always and put that up as a special audio podcast. But because of the algorithm and how I have to number everything, I had to make that episode 145. So, for those of you watching videos, all right, for continuity purposes, this is just 146. Okay, I don't want to confuse anything. It's going to confuse me now trying to figure this shit out. So, a lot going on, but not a lot. I want to thank everyone who's been checking out my both parts of my Massiverse podcast videos. The audio, like, I noticed a big increase in people listening to those episodes and going back to them. I do have part three, which will be coming up in like 2 weeks. I got to do my notes and break everything down. So I am, speaking more matter of factly with those because it's less opinion and more of, hey, here's what's going on. So, I like to make sure those are researched really well. So what I want to do with those ones, I want to make sure the information is accurate and, it's because it's, I'm breaking down not just one issue at a time. I'm going by volume. So, that takes a little more time to research. Plus, I read these as they were coming out from an issue standpoint. So, because I do pick up the trades anyways, I have to go back and read the trades and be like, all right, what issues were a part of these trades? So, there's work that goes into those episodes. And I'm going to be trying to make the video version of the next ones more appealing and not just me sitting here talking. So, I'm working on some ideas for that. I am going to be putting out a special one shot episode going over No One issue 1 and 2 because oh my god, I've read issue 1 like twice now because I was like, damn, this is really good. And then Free Comic Book Day is coming up this weekend, so next week's episode, which will be better time than this one. This one's coming out on a Tuesday. Normally I try and get these done by the weekend, but things came up with work, and I was finally feeling better, so I had to play catch up on a lot of things. And that's why I was like, okay, I'm not gonna. I could just do the Once and Always because I was sick that week and I was still doing stuff, and I was like, no, I needed to rest because the second I felt good enough to like work in this and that, I just jumped right back into it. I didn't give myself, an extra day or so to kind of like fully rest and recuperate. And that's me being stubborn, honestly. So I already got most of the content for the rest of this month from the podcast like planned out, which I'm really looking forward to doing. And I'm excited going into June with some other stuff. I'm finally, I have had guests on here, obviously, but I do have a nice roster of new guests that will be coming on to talk about cool things, whether it's toku stuff, robots, you know, uh, physical media. Like, there's gonna be a diverse group of guests that are going to be appearing on the podcast over the next 2 months, and I'm really excited for that because I enjoy doing the podcast as it is, me, talking, going over my nerdy stuff, like this lifestyle, so to speak. But I do enjoy having guests on to like get a different outlook, opinion, dive into something that maybe I'm not even fully, you know, knowledgeable on, and something that I find interesting. Uh, so before I jump into the regular stuff of the podcast, also, um, it's been officially a month since I launched the merch. I want to thank everyone who's been purchasing the merch. I still got to do some thank you replies via the Fourth Wall app. When I was sick, I didn't want to give a half-ass thank you, so I got to chip away at some of those. I did drop some more new merch on there for like the summer spring collection, so some tank tops. The Only Henshin's design is on there now, and I'm already working on wave 2, which will probably be dropping in June, which I'm really excited for. It's shaping up to look like this was just like the appetizer, just to like test the water, see what works, get some reactions, and seeing how well it was received. And now I'm just like, oh, now you guys are gonna get even more, and I'm really excited for that. This is something that I've been wanting to do for. I mean, I've talked about it in the past on the podcast before there was even a video version, but with the pandemic and stay at home and quarantine, I was like, I would have felt like an asshole launching merch at that time when all of us were struggling to just pay bills. How could I justifiably drop merch and expect you guys to spend money, when every penny counted in that time frame? I gotta shave. I just realized, 'cause I'm looking at the camera and I'm like, dude, I'm haggard looking. Like, damn. I also need a haircut. I haven't had a haircut since the wedding, I don't think. No, December. I got a haircut in December. Like, I need to. It's bad. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. On Fourth Wall, I did launch memberships, so it's kind of like Patreon, okay? But instead of you know, uh, it being on Patreon, it's right there on Fourth Wall, and I can actually attach like merch deals to it. So it's like right now it's $4 a month. You're going to get behind the scenes on a lot of things I'm working on, polls. You're going to get previews of new merch. You're going to get early access to merch. You're going to get exclusive merch options that I will not make available to the general public. Some stuff will, you'll have early access and then you'll be exclusives also. I'm thinking there's just an idea because I've helped other people launch Patreons and this and that and, all this other stuff. And I was thinking, okay, what I do a lot of research on stuff before I even decide on things. So before Fourth Wall even had memberships, I was looking into Patreon. I have a Patreon that's not even live that I was just, testing how to set things up, what I would offer, and I didn't want to do multiple tiers. So this one I just have one tier only, and that's everything. Maybe down the road if there's a demand for specific things and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have to make a higher tier if we're going to be doing bigger things, but right now I want to keep it as just one, and I think I may permanently just keep it at one for now. um, so in my research, I looked at what other people are doing for Patreon, this and that. I don't like the idea of, oh, if you're on my Patreon, you just go watch my videos early. And I'm like, well, I could just wait 2 days and watch it for free. Like, and I know there are content creators, my friends, and stuff like I have subscribed to a few Patreons of my friends who are content creators or have merch. For me, I'm just like, I don't want to have early access to my content. That just seems, mm, I don't like that. So I was thinking of maybe the membership exclusive show that'll be, bi-weekly. And this is something that I was actually going to put on the YouTube channel and do, but then I was like, well, I gotta. I put a lot of thought in this. I have so many Google Docs for content and the stuff and these things I want to create. As there's a truck backing up outside, which is obnoxiously loud with the beeping, and I'm 99% sure my microphone picked it up, and I'm not even gonna edit that out because I was talking, and it's gonna be a pain in the ass. So, in my Google Docs, I have literally dozens, if not close to 100 docs in there. Okay, the dump truck, like it was a garbage truck, and I'm like, dude, like where my apartment is and where the trash is, it was just like right there, and I was like, I'd rather just cut that out completely than have to fix audio to make it not sound so bad. Um, but yeah, there's a show like all the Google Docs. I have literally the next year and a half. Well, I'll say a little bit over like 14 months, not a year and a half, because it's like what 18 months now. So more like the next, easily at least the next full calendar year of merch planned out to drop something. You know, every like 2 to 3 months for designs, but product wise, that might be sporadic throughout the time frame. And then I have all these show ideas, like all the content that I want to make, and it's a time thing. Like I work full time. I'm not a full time content creator. I have my career. I mean, I'm married. I have like all this stuff going on in my life. So there's a lot of stuff that like I just have planned, and I'm like, all right, I'll chip away at it when I have time. Like I still have a whole video series I want to do about Toku video games, because one of the things I don't talk about is like I collect Tokusatsu themed video games all the way back to the Famicom, all the way to now. Like I have quite the collection, and I would love to do a video series about that. Like my comic books, I'd love to go through and go over my whole entire history of collecting comic books. I'm vastly approaching 8,000 comic books in my collection. I've been collecting and reading comic books since I was 6 years old. I am 37. So I have 31 years of just, there's times where I didn't, collect comics at all. But I have like a lot of full runs and, grails and key issues and this and that I would love to do like a series or something about. And it's what I say. Like, even you could see over the years, if you've been watching the video version behind me, a lot of things have changed. And I have quite the manga collection, and that's just physical. I have my whole tablet full of digital as well, and I do plan on I have a lot of content, but I had a show that I planned. I'm not going to say the name because it's a good name. I have two names actually. There's two that I was going to do, and I was just like, you know, this this show, I'm probably gonna start working on it, and I'd probably put it up under the fourth wall membership, as well as the permanent store discount and everything else, which is really cool. So that was something I was sitting on for a while. Do I start a Patreon? Do I do this? Like, am I that like? Because even though I don't have a, I mean, first off, thank you everyone on YouTube. I had 1,000 subscribers. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you guys so much. Uh, you know, I started taking YouTube seriously. Well, not seriously, but you know what I mean. Like from doing content consistently about a little bit over 2 years ago. Um, and I changed up my style a few times just to fit what I wanted to do, what I wanted to see, instead of trying to do what everyone else was doing that was going to get the views. And yes, if I kept doing that, I'd probably be in a different position right now. But the channel right now feels true to how I want to present content, the content I want to make, and share what I enjoy and what I love. So I thank everyone for helping me reach 1,000 subscribers. That is like I'm blown away by that. That is insane. So yeah, these shows I want to put those up there. So I was thinking because I don't have a big following, and I don't I don't want it to come off as like scummy or douchey that, oh look, Mark's got a Patreon. And I was like, well, I had the fourth wall membership, and that was built into fourth wall. So I'm like, okay, this is less about me as a content creator and more about me as someone who's creating merchandise. And that is what really kind of swayed me into starting it. And I'm looking for, I've done a few posts on there and some polls, and I'm really looking forward to getting feedback and you know just seeing where this can go and where it can evolve into, because that's the thing. I'm always trying to evolve. I'm always trying to better myself and further make progress with my goals that I want to do. And it's funny because a lot of people are like, oh, you start merch, you're selling out, you must be making the big bucks now. It's like, no, trust me, like if anyone knows print on demand, like you aren't exactly like rolling in the dough instantly. Like you're not going to be like, just a good idea, the amount that I made in the last month, I won't say the number in detail, but I was able to pay the gas and electric bill, which by the way in California isn't really that high, and fill the gas tank once. And I was like, hey, one utility and a full tank of gas, to me that's a success. Honestly, it really is. Like I know people want to gauge success in different ways. For me, I'm like, hey, if that's one bill I didn't have to worry about, and I don't have to worry about running out of gas, like I did it. I succeeded. And then again, the humble side of me is like the fact that I launched it, the fact that the site is live. That's a success to me, because it's easy to plan stuff. It's easy to want to do things. The toughest part is actually doing it. So for me, I'm like, hey, that's a success also. Um, but yeah, so the fourth wall memberships, that's something I'm looking forward to. But yeah, none of my content that you guys see from the regular podcast or on the YouTube channel, that content, like none of that is ever going to be behind a paywall to have early access to. And this isn't shots at anyone else, because I know a lot of people, and people I actually support on Patreon that do that. And I'm like, hey, you know what? That's on you. That's how you want to do it. That's your thing. That's just not how I roll. That's not like something I would want to do, because I'm already doing this content for free. And so why would I put it behind a paywall? All right, it's enough of that. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. Uh, can we talk about the fact that it's spring and there's too many damn video games right now? Like we have Zelda coming out what on the 12th of May, and I'm delayed, so I'm playing. It's the 2nd of May. Usually, this episode was supposed to be up like 2 days ago. Honestly, like so that's why I'm like, oh man, I'm so far behind. But on top of that, we have all these other games. Like I'm still playing Shin Kamen Rider Rumble. This game is so much fun, and luckily, thanks to Duolingo, not a sponsor or an ad, unless they want to hit me up. My DMs and my email contact information are on my YouTube channel. Um, I my Japanese from a speaking standpoint, ass, 100% ass. I'm not even gonna try. But my reading comprehension level has drastically increased, especially because I get the Toku magazines every month. So I've been between those and Duolingo. I'm actually like not shitty at it anymore, and so I can understand enough of this. And then using Google Translate with on my app on my phone for some of the breakdowns of the menus and stuff like that. And then once I memorize the menus, I'm good. But this has been a lot of fun. I'm excited to see Shin Kamen Rider on the 31st of May because that's going to be in theaters that day only. If you haven't already, go check online, buy yourself some tickets because I can't wait. I can't wait to see that movie so much. Now, also, I don't know if I talked about it. I think I did. The Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. I'm still playing that. I just finished Mega Man Battle Network 1. So I'm chipping away. It's from when I was picking up the kid. Um, so I just finished 1, so I'm gonna go into 2. But I think there's 2 different versions to pick from. Then on top of that, Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp came out, and I'm like, okay, like stop dropping games, please, cause okay, this I've been playing. Like this is I love Advance Wars. Like this is hitting the nostalgia so good for me. I'm like, damn, this game is amazing. I love it. And then uh also because I don't have a physical thing to hold up. The elephant in the room. Okay, remember when I did the podcast episode with Genshin Impact came out? Remember the issues what I was talking about and I was like, damn, they got me good. Um Honkai Star Rail dropped from the same people, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. Then I saw some tweets. Then I watched a video, and then I was like, shit, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it, right? So I've been playing that on my PC and on my phone, and luckily, I have been good when it comes to whaling in that game. It's not gonna be a Dokkan battle situation or a Genshin Impact that level, or that My Hero game that came out that died off. Man, that was such a man. I wish I get a refund on that because I spent some money and I shouldn't have, and I did. I don't remember the name of that game. It was a My Hero one. It was on phones. I remember re-rolling so much using a freaking uh, Android emulator, like BlueStacks on my computer, and I was re-rolling. I'm like, okay, I'm good. Then I tied it to my email. And I was like, I put it on my phone. Then I was like, all right, Apple Pay some purchase, some rolls on there, some gotchas. That was bad. Now on top of it, the main game I've been playing the most, and I'm loving it so much. I bought it on Steam, even though it's on PC for Game Pass. Cassette Beasts. This game is so damn good. Oh my god! Like, basically, think of nostalgic Pokemon, but you use cassettes and you like record them on the beasts on there. The story is great. There's fusions, but the best part is the soundtrack. The music in this game is like so chill, relax. Like I want the soundtrack. Like I would put the soundtrack on and just chill. I'd go sit in the beanbag chair right there, grab a stack of manga, and just put that soundtrack on and just read. I need the soundtrack. Dear developers of Cassette Beasts, which I forget the name of, even though I'm in your Discord and I follow you on Twitter, if you could release that soundtrack so I could listen to it, I would greatly appreciate that so much. I would love it. But that game is a lot of fun, and I'm like literally, I'm gonna be doing a video on it for sure. And this is the downside too. It's like all these games I'm playing, and I'm just like, man, it's spring. This is when I'm like usually ramping up new content and trying to get some things done. But it's like I just want to play these games all day. That's all I want to do. I just want to play these games, and no, I don't have time. Like I'm so far behind on manga right now, and I've been reading it, but so I'm not behind on reading. I'm behind on making videos, which I have a whole bunch I need to work on. Starting with these. So I'm gonna go over manga. Not what I purchased, what I'm currently reading. I still have to do my whole entire April manga haul also. Damn, I gotta do that video as well. Maybe I'll get it done today. All right, so first off, what I'm reading, I just finished reading, is Backstabbed in a Backwater Dungeon, Volume 2. I'm not reading the rest of that name because that name is obnoxiously long. Then I also just finished Lazy Dungeon Master Volume 2. I need to get Volume 3. I haven't seen it in stock at Barnes & Noble at all, and it's kind of upsetting. I just finished Shy Volume 2. I love this series so much. It's one of the ones where I'm like, man, I wouldn't mind if that got an anime, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm enjoying the manga. Then Tista. This is a new one. So this is from Tatsuya Endo, who is the creator of Spy Family. And this is so good. It's about like people trying to track down this serial killer, and she's also part of like a church type thing. I don't want to spoil anything. I am gonna review it. And then we had Don to Don Volume 3. Oh, dude, Don to Don is so outlandish. That's like that's it's in my top 5 for series that I'm like keeping an eye on and reading and getting the volumes the day they come out. And another one on that list, obviously, is Go Go Loser Rangers Volume 4, which I still need to review. I finished reading it, but I have to review it. And I dropped my bookmark that was in there, which is the Laser Boost Geats card. Autofocus? Autofocus? No. I turned autofocus off because that shit was acting up. So yeah, this is excessive. Honestly, it really is. Um, yeah, I gotta fix the focus really quick. There we go. Uh, my camera reset itself, and I don't know why. That was kind of annoying. So yeah, man, that's all I'm reading for manga. Obviously, I bought a lot more, so you'll be able to see my whole haul video. I'll probably record that tomorrow and get that up in a day or so before the week is out. I still have to do my King Oja review. Speaking of, I've been working on my candy toys because I love my Sotos, and I finally got my ID5 for Geats in there, so I made Seeker. Ooh, Seeker. Then I just finished making Glare, which I love. This is my favorite one on the set. So I still have to film my video for the wave 4, and then I just got wave 5 I'm finishing. And on top of that, where's the box? I have, oh, my chair's squeaky. I have my mini pla that I pre-ordered for King Oja is here, and I built that, and you could see that right behind me on my little floating shelf. Uh, and I just actually did a review video of it, and I realized that's the first time I've done any review for Super Sentai toys, which is unheard of for me because I love Super Sentai to an extent. Like, I'm new to it, but I love candy toys, and I've made many of these, and I've never done any videos for them. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna do a review for once. And yeah, so after this, I'm probably gonna work on my Geats Twin Command while the video is rendering, just because I need to finish it. Uh, Now, what else? Oh, movies. I haven't been watching a lot of TV lately. I've been watching a lot of anime. Oshinoko is killing it right now. I love that anime so much. Episode 3 just aired. We got 4 coming up this week, I believe. Uh, we sat down and we watched. I've seen it, but we watched it because it was put on, I think, Paramount Plus or Peacock, one of those two. Scream 6, such a good film. I was worried because of maybe they were like milking it and this and that, and I was like, no, it's still good. Also, I do believe it's the 35th anniversary of Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Either 35 or 30th, and one of my favorite films. Have it on VHS, have it on DVD, have it on Blu-ray. I have the NECA Toonie Terrors in my box because I haven't put them on display yet because I don't know where I'm going to put them on display, especially on my Toonie Terrors. I might just put more shelves up here. Here, actually, I'll show you. Want to see my messy desk area for those of you watching? So I might put some more floating shelves up here, which I plan to do anyways, and maybe put those over there. Um, but yeah, that's my plan eventually. Um, I got so much shit. Everything's so like messy over here. But yeah, I haven't really been watching much. I've been working. We saw the Mario movie a couple like the weekend it came out. I don't think I really talked about that. I was gonna do a review for it, but like I don't have time to do movie reviews. I tried doing them in the past, and it's more or less like I just don't. I'm not good at spoiling things for people, if that makes sense. Like I'm not like I just don't have it in me to like if I'm having a conversation with someone, I'm like, oh, do you want spoilers? Do you want to know? And then they say yes, that's one thing. But like doing it like this and talking to a camera and then recording it, like I don't really have the way to be like, hey, do you guys want spoilers? All right. Like I'm talking to the screen like I'm like the host of Blue's Clues, where I'm like, ooh, a spoiler. And it's like, no, I don't know how to do that. So I just don't like doing movie reviews because I just don't like spoiling things for people. I really don't. And what if someone unintentionally like, doesn't hear me, like they sneeze or they fart or something, and they don't hear me say, "Hey, spoiler," and then all of a sudden next thing I'm like, and so in the end, Snape kills Dumbledore. And it's like, wait, but he didn't warn us. It's like I did. You farted. It was loud. It reminds me of the Bloodhound Gang farting with a Walkman on song. All right. But yeah, no, not really like watching a lot of stuff right now. Like I'm working, and then if I'm not working, I'm playing games. I'm working on model kits, spending time with my wife. So it's life. Like last time I talked about video games, I just started playing this first Star Wars like Jedi whatever order game, and now Survive just came out, and I was like, I never finished the first one, and I was like, I started playing it, and I just haven't like too much stuff going on. And like I see that as a good thing though. And it could be worse. I could have nothing going on. I at least I'm busy, and I like being busy. Like when I was sick, I was like going crazy because I was just like I was in bed or just on the couch, like existing, and I hate that so much. I like to do shit. I like to get stuff done. Um. So yeah, that's just. I was trying to think of what a main topic would have been today. Honestly, I didn't have one. This was an episode I didn't have really planned. I just knew I needed to record an episode, and I was like, well, I have manga to talk about, and all these games coming out, and I was like, do I revisit and do like and turn the gotcha game topic into a trilogy? Because I did the first one, I did the second one, but I was like, no, because like nothing has changed with gotcha games. So I was like, I'll wait until something drastically happens, and then I could be like, all right, let's talk more about gotcha games, and that's why I'm like holding off on that. And I wish sometimes you don't have topics. You ever just have one of those things? Podcasters, other podcasters, you will understand this. You ever want to do a podcast episode? You want to record an episode, and you're like, all right, let's record this episode. Let's get it done. And then you get like to a certain point, and you're like, what's the topic going to be this week? Like, what do I talk about? Like, do I talk about how much I like sleeveless hoodies and how, like, if I wanted to, like, if I was wearing my muscle tank top, my traps are getting bigger. Like, do I talk about like being like becoming a beef bro? Like, what do I like? I don't know. Like, it's tough. It's tough sometimes being a podcaster. It really is. And a lot of people tell me my topic. I'll talk about how difficult it is being a podcaster, especially in 2023. Because you know what? Everyone has a fucking podcast right now. Okay. My first podcast, I started in 2012, 2011. And before that, I was a guest on a few podcasts, and podcasts weren't really a big thing back then. They were just, they weren't. I mean, when you really think about it, I had a podcast slash live radio show in 2004 and 2005 with a friend of mine from high school where we talked about Final Fantasy 11 and World of Warcraft. We just talked about MMOs. I don't even remember the name of it. I'm pretty sure my friend does. I should ask him sometime. I haven't talked to him in years. I should be like, hey, what's up? I haven't heard from you in a while. How you been? Uh, but yeah. So I've had and then I was on a podcast for a while there, and then was disappeared for like 18 months, almost 2 years. Then I was like, all right, I'm gonna start my own, and then in 2019 I started this one in July actually. So we're approaching 4 years in basically 2.5 months, and I was like, damn, okay, that's been I've been doing this for a while now, and the main thing I always get is people like, oh yeah, podcast, that's cool. that must be pretty easy, right? You know, you just hit record, and so I was like, no, it's not easy. I have to edit this. I have to make sure the audio isn't ass. Like if you go back and listen to my first couple podcasts, they don't sound great, but the raw audio files, which I still have on this hard drive right here, has all my episodes, not just this podcast, any podcast I've ever done in my whole entire life is on this. And let me tell you, you go back, you listen to the raw audio of the first like 3 or 4 podcasts and compare it to what I put up there. Yes, what I put up was not that good, but if you listen to the raw files, it's atrocious. It is the worst sounding thing ever. I'm like, damn. I'm glad that didn't let me stop me, and I just learned better audio editing. And then you got to plan it out too. It's one thing when you are on a podcast with like co-hosts and you can spitball off each other and fill the dead air and kind of milk things. But when you're by yourself and you want to keep people entertained and drawn in, good fucking luck. Okay, it's not easy. And trust me, I have friends and I know people who have started solo podcasts and stopped a couple episodes in because it's like it wasn't really working out. The numbers weren't there, this and that. I'm still shocked I have the listenership and the base of an audience that I have, because I'm not gonna lie to you, there were times there, and I've been adamant about this and this and that. Like if you're getting burnt out and you know mentally you're just not, you're mentally not there, like don't put episodes out. Like I made that mistake, and if you go back and you listen to those episodes, and this was 2 years ago, a little bit more, like you could tell and hear that I was just like dialing it in. I didn't want to do it. I was just deflated, like. And you don't have someone else to bring the energy level up or the hype or this and that. It's you. You're in. If the episode's not out, you can't blame anyone but yourself. If it's bad quality, it's your fault. This and that. Like you can't. There's no excuses. But at the same time, like I've done, I did a like everything I do from a content standpoint. That's not I research like crazy before I actually do it. So that whole 18 plus months where I wasn't doing any podcasts and I wasn't like doing anything really, I was researching. And I was like, okay, do I do 2-person team? I was on one with 4 people, sometimes 5. That got kind of chaotic. Too many hands, too many chefs in the kitchen. Do I do a solo podcast? I was like, I could. So then I started research. I started listening to hundreds of solo podcast episodes of various people. And I was like, all right, that's how this works. That's how they're pacing it. What's the sweet spot for how long the episode should be? Because when you're talking about yourself, okay, you go into the territory of this is a good episode, into this is a monologue, into, okay, now it's an audiobook, it's an audiobook on someone's dissertation essay. Like, no. So a lot of research went into all this. And, it's not easy. And I still have people saying, oh, it must be really easy to get you to sit, like, and that's what pissed me off. Like, all people still be like, oh, well, it can't be that hard. You have a podcast. Hit record. It's like, bro, that's like when people say, oh, you stream, that's not a real job. Or, oh, you make YouTube videos, oh, that's simple, you just hit record and put a little music in the background. It's like, bro, like people who do this full time, I give credit to. Like I always will. Like this like I work full time and I do this still, and even I'm like, damn, this is a lot of work. I could not imagine just doing this full time. Not the podcast, not just the podcast, like content creating in general. Like, can you imagine having to stream 5, 6 days a week and do a podcast, all the editing? Because you just don't hit live. That's it. You got to market yourself on social media. You gotta like, it's a pain in the ass. It really is. And so in 2023, in the last 2 years, I've seen so many podcasts start and die. Not just strangers, people I know, this and that. And I'm just constantly like, stick with it. It's not like, unless you have a hit, like, and these aren't like people that have been on the show, or like in general, like I've seen people like that that'll just literally be like, oh, I see a tweet one day, like, I'm starting a new podcast. I'm like, oh, cool. And I'm like, check it out. I'm like, all right. I go and check it out. And I'm like, man, like, this could be good. Or the audio quality is not good, or this and that. I'm like, hey, you might want to tweak the audio. Like, no, it came out fine. I'm like, dude, trust me, like, you gotta take the feedback. But then But there's a lot of people, or people will go like 3 episodes in, or like a dozen. Like, I can't do it. This is too much work. It's harder than I thought. It's like anything you do is going to be like content wise is hard. Like, look at my earlier videos I used to edit. They are ass. They are horrible, horrendous, heinous, even. And I'm still not that good at video editing. Like, I constantly am watching. Like, that's why, like I tell you, like, I'm not watching anything all my free time. I have YouTube up. I'm watching tutorials on DaVinci Resolve. I'm watching Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator tutorials. I'm learning, you know, podcasting, video editing, content creating. It's like going to the gym. You got to get your reps in. You're not going to get stronger after one session. You got to keep going and going, and that's how it works. That's how this works. And sometimes it doesn't. Uh, I mean, hell, I got so many private videos. This is the longest stint where I've been consistent with YouTube for the last 2 years. If you go back and you look at like the 2009, 2000, 2008, 2009 videos, they're private. They should be. And then you look when I tried again in like 2012, 2013. Ooh, really bad. Some of the earlier 2019, 2020 ones that I took out like weren't bad, but it was me just throwing everything at the wall, all the shit, and seeing what would stick. And just so happened, all of it was just bouncing back at me, and none of it stuck. So I was just covered in shit, honestly. Um, so when people say, "Oh, yeah, podcast," that sounds easy. It's not. Nothing. Nothing. Some things could be natural and come easy to people, but it doesn't mean that it itself is easy. Like, that's my issue. And you know, kind of like the YouTube stuff. Like, and I bring back, like, yeah, I'm like, a lot of people are like, oh, you're just now at 1,000 subscribers. You put out so many videos. That's not. It's like, yeah, but I'm not owed just because I put a video. I'm not owed the view from anybody. I'm not owed the like or the comment. You don't owe me that. You don't owe me a subscription. You got to earn it. If it took me 2+ years to get to 1,000, then that's fine. uh like with the podcast, if that's like right now with the Spotify subscriptions have been going up, and I'm like, oh, more people are following it and subscribing to it on Spotify, which is what I've been pushing in the videos and on the audio version. I love Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and like Stitcher, Podbean, and all them, but I host through Anchor. They're owned by Spotify. I get better analytics if you listen to it on Spotify, and I can actually interact with the audio listeners more if you listen to it on Spotify. I can ask you guys questions that show up on the screen. You can answer, or I can set it so you guys can actually ask me questions via Spotify, and I can do Q&A episodes. So for me, like, Spotify is where I want to go, but at the same time, the numbers are going up. But I check my podcast analytics constantly because I could see where people dip out and listening. Okay, why is more people stopping at this part? What is this part? Then I go and listen. Oh, it's the housekeeping where I'm just giving my spiel. Follow me on this, like this, subscribe to that. So that's when people are like checking out, because they're like, oh, wait, it's the end of the show. Same with the YouTube videos. I check the watch time and when people dip out. Most of the time, people are towards the end when people are like, oh, okay, he's doing his spiel on subscribe, comment, like, and I was like, okay, that's when people are checking out. So what I should do is be more abrupt with the ending. Maybe in the beginning, be like, hey, if you like this, hit the subscribe button. Oh, hey, if you, what do you, I'm about to go over the episode. Tell me in the comments below what your favorite part of was, and then go into the spiel. You gotta, I modify everything based on the analytics. Ooh, indigestion. It's coming on my second coffee, and I'm not using creamer right now. I'm using like protein shakes as like the creamer. So, yeah, I'm bulking on it. I'm just trying to bulk up right now, like trying to put on some muscle, trying to get jacked. But you know, I check these analytics. I see all this stuff. Like, I'm not new to the party, but from being in front of the camera, this that I'm new to that. I'm not. I'm like the behind the scenes guy. You need some ideas done. You need some shit written. You want some ideas. You want to think a one man think tank. That's me. Like I said, I've given video ideas to other people. I'm like, I don't have time to do this. Hey, this is a good idea. I think this would work for you. I've done that before now. And then I'll share the Google Doc with them. I don't have infinite time to do all this. And honestly, like, one of my friends, I'm not gonna share names because it's a private conversation, but this is something that really is motivating this topic right now. We were talking. He's like, dude, you hit 1,000. So, you aiming for 2,000? I'm like, no, I'm aiming for 1,002 subscribers. He's like, why? I'm like, cause the subscriber count fluctuates all the time. You'll lose a subscriber here and there. Account might get banned. You never know. And it's like, if I hit 1,002, then I'm at more than 1,000. He's like, yeah, but don't you want 2,000? You can make more money. I'm like, no. The money isn't based on your subscribers. It's based on the amount of views and monetizing, and that's not, my channel's not even monetized. Uh, it's something where, you know, and he was like, yeah, but like, if you hit like a certain amount, would you ever just do it full time? And I'm like, no, I'm no. Like, in order for me to want to do be content creation full time, first off, I would have to make enough from content creating to cover exactly what I had to pay for my freaking degree first. Then I would think about it. So once my degree, because I already paid my student loans. My student loans have been paid. I'm 37. Like, I paid them shits off a while ago. But here's the thing. If eventually cumulative I made enough from content creating where it equaled exactly what I paid for college and my degree, then that would be like the first checkbox. Then the next checkbox would be, okay, now per month, am I covering all my bills with an extra, like all my bills? Gas for the vehicle, gas and electric, groceries, phone, internet, uh, rent, my medical insurance, and rental insurance. And then on top of that, do I have an extra 3,000 coming in? If that's the case, then yes, I would. That would be like the second check. The third one is, do I want to? Do I want to leave my job that I have? Am I unhappy with my job to the point where I could quit and not feel some sort of regret or remorse for quitting? So there's a lot of things. And this was like we had a long conversation about this too, because I was like, I don't know if I would. Like, even if all those checkboxes, no, because I know my content. I know what I want to make for content. I would love for that to be the case, but I would never be able to, because I feel like when you go all in on something you love and make it your career, make it your livelihood, you're going to eventually hate it. I used to love computers. I'd fix them, build them, this and that, help people build their own, you know, and this and that. And now I don't want to touch a computer. Like, my computer broke, and I was like, I could fix it. Do I want to fix it? Like, fuck this thing. I don't want to fix it. I'm gonna leave it broken. I don't care anymore. Like, I hate this computer. Um, and I started to hate computers. Same with art for a while there. Like, I loved doing artwork. I think honestly the double carpal tunnel surgery kind of had a mental effect on that, because I feel like my hand isn't as steady as it used to be, and I can't, like, it's jumping back into it very slowly. So that's another thing. But yeah, the content creating, like, that was really what, because I'm just like, we all have goals, we all have aspirations, and it's funny because from a content creating, I don't, like, my goal was 1,000 subscribers for the YouTube channel. I don't have a goal after that. I don't, like, I just want to be like, all right, let me see if I can hit 1,000. Let me see if 1,000 people will check out my channel and actually be like, hey, this is good, I'll subscribe. I have no goal after that. I really don't. The podcast, my goal is to just, like, the podcast itself, no, but I don't have goals per se, but I do have goals from, like, content standpoint for the podcast, guests I want to have on, uh events I want to cover, stuff like that. But it's intriguing. It's really interesting, like, because, like, I don't think about that stuff often. But in recent, couple weeks and this and that, the most, like, other than the conversation of like, oh, what are your goals for my YouTube channel? Another thing was people saying podcasting looks so easy. Other than that, nothing really, like, that's in the podcast thing. I've been hearing a lot lately, and I don't know why. I think a lot of it stemmed from when Joe Rogan got that big money contract. And then people are like, wait, you can make that kind of money with a podcast? And then everyone's like, well, I'm at home in a quarantine. I have a computer. Let me buy a microphone. And I think, and it was also a thing with live streaming. And, you know, it's a saturated market. And I tell everyone, like, yo, if you're going to start it, you have to have a game plan. You have to know what you want. You have to know what you're doing, or at least learn what you're doing. And you really have to stick with it. You're going to have growing pains. You're going to, like, the first 10 episodes, like your first episode or two, you're going to get a good amount of listens because you're hyping it up on social media. Then you got to lure people in and keep them coming back. So you're gonna have this lull period for like 10, like a couple episodes. I don't even know how long. It varies. Like my lull period was like, because I started mine when San Diego Comic Con was just about to happen in 2019. So I went over like all the exclusives, what I was gonna buy, everything I was looking forward to, and then my second episode was going over things I bought and all the stuff from comic. So like those two did great. Then it was like keeping that momentum. So anyone who wants to start a podcast, stick with it. Don't get discouraged at your numbers. Set goals like, okay, I'm going to start this podcast. I want to have one episode up every week for 6 months. And then once you hit the 6 month mark, you're like, all right, 6 month mark, good. Then look at all your episodes you did. Look at the analytics for it. Which episodes had a higher view, like listens. Where did people fall off from? But like, all right, take this part out. No one cares about that. Because for a while there, I wasn't talking about my games and my comics because I wasn't really pulling any, and I had a dip because those were peak things people were listening to on the pod. They wanted to, people were listening and engaging and intrigued by what comics I was pulling, what I would suggest, what video games I was playing. So I was like, okay, the restructure where I took that stuff out, I was like, no, I shouldn't have took it. Like, let me keep that going with that. And because I would get off topic, I would go on tirades about comics. So you do your research, but give yourself some time. Don't give up after like a month just because it's not working out. I've done that in the past too many times, and I wish I hadn't. That's why I'm like, you know what? I don't have an episode. I got something. Like, this wasn't a plan. This was not my plan. So, yeah, you can see how that went out. But, dude, I think, like, at the end of the day, like, honestly, just generally thank you guys for the 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you, everyone who's been purchasing my merch on Fourth Wall. It's onlyhenshins.com. I have another thing I'm working on. Yeah. And man, a lot going on. If you're listening to this on any listening platform and you do have Spotify, please go over to Spotify, type in a Nerd Name Mark podcast, and follow and subscribe it over there. And if you do have the chance, listen to it on that platform. I will not tell you not to listen to it how you want to listen to it. But if you have the options and you don't hate Spotify, please listen to it on Spotify. I love the demographic breakdown. Did you know on Spotify, I have a 17% female demographic? 17. I was like, damn. That is a decent that is like a decent percentage right there. I was like, okay. I was like, all right. And I was like, well, it can't be the hat because they're listening to me. And then I was like, is it because of the Sailor Moon button up in the photo? I was like, I have no idea. Like, it's astonishing to me. And I am caught off guard. But at the same time, I'm like, I appreciate it. No matter who you identify as. Not who. What you identify as. Like, you male, female, non-binary, it does not matter to me. I don't, like, no, it just doesn't. That does not affect me. But if you're listening and you're enjoying this nerdy lifestyle that I live and just these rants, because like there's a formula, but there isn't. Like, I know sometimes, like, one of my friends said there's like a duality to me, because you can get me being like, oh yeah, this is great, like smooth, sultry talking into the microphone. But then there's other times where I'm just like, fuck it. Like, yeah, I was like, yeah, no, I'm human. I'm not, my mood will change halfway through a podcast. Dude, the protein shake in my coffee might have just kicked in and I might be ready to go poop on the toilet. So I'm just trying to ramp up the energy to end the show on a high note so I can go poop. I don't have to poop, by the way. I'm just letting you know. But I don't know. I don't know why I said that. Okay. Listen, I thank you all so much. This has been episode 146 of a Nerd Named Mark podcast. Uh, yeah, yeah. You know what? That's it. I don't have like. Okay, so everyone's saying like, okay, sidebar, little footnote. So everyone's like, hey, you don't have like a sign off. I'm like, I do. My name's Mark, and I'm a nerd. And they're like, ah. They're like, that's not really that good. You should come up with something more oomph, more impactful, and more energy. And I'm like, and I was trying to like spitball one while I was talking just now, and I got nothing. And I was like, but what's wrong with my normal one? I think it's pretty good. It works for me. And I've been saying it for so freaking long. And you know what? My name is Mark, and I'm a nerd.